Alright guys, it's our lucky day. The intro music to my new Beer Money theme series came in today from the Wallbogs. It's on floppy disk, so we'll have to listen to it on this thing. But let's give it a spin and see what it sounds like.
Don't let her good looks fool you. Body lines so straight and true. Sexy wheels and shiny paint. A show car is just what she ain't. Chrome curb feelers, bitchin' mud flaps help to stretch the biggest gaps. If you still don't have a clue, then this is what we'll do to you. We'll take your lunch money and make it our beer money. And if you think that's funny, we'll do it again, honey. We'll take all your lunch money and make it our beer money. We'll steal your french fries, run smooth out your lives, and then drink all our beer money. We'll throw our shoots in your face. I hope you like winning second place.
Oh yeah, that'll do just fine, I believe. Alright, new series. I think I'm going to call it Chronicles of BeerMoney. It's just where I'm going to put all, everything that's related to beer money. It's going to get thrown in this one pile. So if you want to learn about no prep racing or stuff related to that, you can click on what'll be a playlist at some point and look at that kind of thing till you're tired of looking at it. Today we're going to talk about the 6 things that I consider to be indispensable for no prep style racing as of right now. Now these things, I think some of these things are going to gradually change over time. They're going to morph a little bit. But as of right now, I kind of have thought up a list of 6 things that you kind of got to have, or you're going to have to be successful in no prep racing. Now we're talking, when I say successful, I don't mean one shot wonder, we won the thing, yay, everybody gets lucky. I'm talking about consistently running at the front of this style of racing. The things that you're going to have to do that. I thought it'd be good to take a look at that, so that maybe some of you guys that are newer or want to get involved in no prep racing, kind of know what you're in for, right? Or what you may need, All right, the first one you're going to need is one of these, and this is mostly important because of what it is not than what it is, right? You're going to need a race car, obviously. Now, in this case, Beer Money, let's take a look at what it is. It's not really anything spectacular as far as the world of race car goes. This is the car that we built on the TV show in California. Eric and Bailey and everybody at Customs at Biggin did what chassis work there is there. It's a mild steel cage. It's nothing exotic whatsoever. It's all steel. It's heavy. And it's really largely the same as it has been from day one in a lot of ways, So what I'm getting at here with point number 1 is that you don't, as of now, need an exotic race car to be competitive in no prep racing. At some point, this is going to change, and cars like Beer Money are going to be obsolete. Honestly, I'm surprised that hasn't already happened, but somehow it has not, And maybe it won't happen for a while. Who knows? But point is, is that as of right now, you don't necessarily need a Megabucks rolling chassis to be competitive in no prep racing, and that seems to be the case for across the board as far as tree side no prep racing. The super sketchy tracks definitely doesn't matter there, and even the no prep kings so far hasn't. It helps, I think, to have a little nicer car at those events for sure. But so far, it hasn't been super critical, believe it or not. So, bullet point number 1 is you need a race car of some sort, but it doesn't have to be super exotic or super mega buck, That brings us to the second point. You need one of these, a motor to propel this thing. All right. Now, let's just take, for example, the motor that's in BeerMoney. It's really nothing special, as far as being a Megabucks motor. It just isn't. It's a stock block deal. It's got, nice heads on it for mast, with turbo. That, generally speaking, it's over-turboed for what we need. This point is similar to the first point. It's more about what you don't need than what you do. Now, don't get me wrong. If you want to build a big Bucks motor, you can. It's not going to hurt you. But a lot of times in no prep style stuff, especially the crappier the track is, the more this is important. You don't really need a ton of horsepower, right? There are a lot of times where we'll be successful with a car like BeerMoney with, I don't know, 11 or 12 to the tire. That's it. That's all you need. Now, let's say no prep kings type stuff, those from what I've seen are not prepped, but the fact of the matter is when you send dozens of pro modifieds with a bunch of big floppy tires blasting down the track, it kind of preps itself to a certain extent in relatively short order, right? So the prep there is much better, but even at those events, power is more important, but so far we haven't had to use a, billet, this, that, and the other $80,000 small block or whatever. We just haven't had to do that yet. And once again, I think over time that'll eventually change as well. But as of right now, that's been the situation, So keep that in mind. Don't let the fact that you don't have a Megabucks motor preclude you from thinking that you can be successful in no prep, because a lot of times you can, All right. The next couple are kind of they rely on each other, right? They're kind of part and parcel of each other. Now, the third thing here I would say is tires, TARs, as they say in Denton, North Carolina. You need bi-ply tires, in my opinion. You need to be on big floppy tires, slicks. For most of there have been guys, I occasionally see guys on radials, and some of them have some success, but I don't think you're going to continuously run. You don't see us with radials out there, right? Don't get me wrong. Radials are good where they're good, but this type of racing, in my opinion, at least now and for foreseeable future, I think the way to go is going to be slicks. And that brings us to our fourth bullet point here, which has to do with the third. Where'd it go? I lost it. Oh, yeah. Here it is. You're going to need one of these units right here. A Profiler EFI. What is this? Wheel speed management. It's some TC, traction control. It's kind of a loaded term. Wheel speed management is a better way to describe this. This is the way that we control our wheel speed all the way through the pass, right? And when in no prep racing, this is just critical, right? Or something, that tries to be equivalent to this. In my opinion, this is the best, right? And I don't think it's even really close for this type of racing. But it's a little pricey. You got to have it. Matter of fact, I won't tune any car that doesn't have it. It's just no point in it. And the reason being is because your traction control works in conjunction with the slick tire, right? Because the slick recovers so much better, right? Everybody knows you zip a radial, it's hard to get that thing back. It doesn't happen that well. Where a slick will, and because of that, we're going to go down the track. We may slip that tire 15, 20 times, right, on a pass, and we're relying on this box to really quickly get things back under control. Now, what does that do? Here's what people don't realize when they think they can keep up with the radial. That completely changes your approach. Your strategy is going to completely change, right? Because let's think about this. If you had a radial on and you're barefoot out there, you've got to really be kind of conservative out there no prep racing, because if you zip that tire, it's over with, right? You're just going to watch the other guy drive away, right? And everybody knows that. So because of that, you're going to have to really skin that back, and that's constantly going to be in your mind big time, right? Where with a slick and a profiler, you can load tune-ups in there you wouldn't even think about with a radial. And you say, oh, yeah, well, the radial's faster. Okay, maybe so. But you can't load that radial tune-up that's faster because it's such a roll of the dice that it's not going to work for you. It's not going to work, right? So that, like I say, the EFI or the profiler, wheel speed management, whatever mechanism whatever brand you choose, will work with the slick, so that you can load crazier tune-ups, right? Because you're going to be able to manage those things, manage that tire speed all the way down the racetrack, overwhelm the tire, get it back under control, overwhelm it, back under control, many, many times on every pass, right? And because of that, it's going to completely change your strategy, right? You're going to be able to take risks that you would never think about taking with radial, right? So that's the way things are currently. Now, will that be different 5 years from now or a year from now? Entirely possible, sure. But right now, that's the way I see it. In my opinion, the slick in almost every circumstance of no prep racing is going to be faster on the small tire, All right. Number 5, you're going to need one of these units. Now, I'm not posting a picture of myself to toot my own horn. I can. Got some horns we can toot on right here. They're mine. But that's not what I'm trying to get at. What I mean by this is you're going to need a tuner of some sort, right? And the higher the quality of competition at the race you're at, the higher quality tuner you're going to need. The fact of the matter is that the tuning profession, if you will, has gotten pretty... it's a real thing. There's a lot to know about race cars, about drag racing, about race tracks, and whatnot. And that's the knowledge that a tuner will hopefully have, right? And you're going to have to somebody on your team, maybe it's you, maybe you're a super tuner, maybe if that's the case, then you've got it. You're ready to go. But if you're a team or whatever and you don't have one of these guys, you're going to race people that do, right? And that know-how is going to be hard to come around, right? So what I'm getting at is if you don't have a tuner in your camp, then you're going to have to get one, in my opinion, to be consistently successful, because you're going to have to race them. And the tuners that are out there that know what they're doing, their cars are going to be consistently in the front. That's just how it is, So, whoever it may be, you need to talk to some people, hire some people, or have somebody in your corner when it comes to getting your race car down the track. Like I said, maybe that's you, maybe that's somebody on your team that's helping you already, but you're going to have that from somewhere, right? Just how it is. And I don't think that's ever going to change or no time soon. That's just the way racing is nowadays. Last but not least, you're going to need one of these units right here. All right. In this particular case, it is a Lyle Barnetsky unit. All right. What is it, Lyle Barnetsky, and why do you need one? All right. So we might talk about this. Maybe at one point I'll do a 5 or 6 things you got to have for radial type racing. Because that's different, right? And in radial type racing, the driver, the Lyle, is less important, right? Which is why I joke and call these people button releasers. Because in radial racing, the main thing the driver's got to be able to do is let off that button at the right time, right? Because after that, it's all about the race car and the tune. I hate to tell you, all you drivers with your big egos and whatnot, it's just the truth. I mean, 90% of the time, not always, but very often, the driver is not super duper critical in radial racing, right? Because those things are on a string, they just go, right? Or they don't go, one or the other, right? And very often, the reason that they go or not go doesn't have a whole lot to do with what the driver's doing, It just doesn't. Sometimes it does, but very often it doesn't. And what matters is that you let the button off a few times in a row. You got to pull the chutes to get stopped. In the finals, you don't even have to do that if you don't want to, I guess. You just drive off into the distance. But in no prep racing, that is not the case. You need a driver. You need a wheelman, right? And the reason being is you've got, for example, as a tuner, one of the factors that I have to take into consideration when I'm coming up with a tune to load into a race car is who's sitting in the driver's seat, right? And in no prep racing, this is really a big factor, right? Now, a guy like Lyle, and first of all, people like this are rare, right? There ain't a whole lot of them that really have the skill set to do to drive these cars and hold the pedal down with the tune-ups that I load in them, right? The tune-ups that go in BeerMoney, a lot of these races, a lesser or less skilled driver, I would not think about putting in the car, right? But a guy like Lyle, I'm not worried about it, right? If there's a way to hold the pedal down, he's going to do it, right? It's going to get held down, and that car is going to go A to B. And so this is a critical point with no prep racing. The driver is a much larger factor in the equation. It just is, right? And if you're a newer team or whatever and you think that your driver is new and maybe not the most skilled, you're probably going to struggle. They're not going to, they're not. Your success is going to be limited. You may need to look at getting somebody or whatever. And a lot of times, experience is a small factor in this, but a lot of it just comes down to natural ability and sense of balance and whatnot. The guys that are really good drivers, they're kind of just born with it. I don't think it's something that you can improve with experience, for sure. You can improve. You can fix problems you got and get better, right? But you kind of got it or you don't as far as the natural talent there. And it's kind of a rare thing. So I would say that of these 6 points we're talking about, the last one especially is the last one or two are the harder ones to get a hold of, right? The rest of the stuff you can buy, you can just come up with. The last two factors are a little different, especially in the last one for sure, because there's just not a whole lot of really, really skilled drivers out there. and I'm not trying to ruffle anybody's feathers as far as driving, but it's just the nature of the beast. In no prep racing, the driver is very important, So anyhow, that's enough of this bull mess for one day. Those are the 6 things that I think are indispensable in no prep style racing. And speaking of the motor, maybe very shortly we'll do a little thing on just exactly what the motor is in BeerMoney. How exotic is it or isn't it? Take a look at it. And that'll be on an upcoming episode of Chronicles of BeerMoney about that. All right, well, anyhow, that's enough for today. Subscribe, like, all that stuff. Click the notification bell and stuff. And you'll get all my content because we're making content here. All right, well, that's enough. Later.
We'll take your lunch money and make it our beer money. And if you think that's funny, we'll do it again, honey. We'll take all your lunch money and make it our beer money. We'll steal your french fries, run smooth out your life, and then drink